The word that I want to focus us on today is plague. You know, this whole sort of apocalyptic sort of series of events in our world today threw me to the original apocalypse for my morning readings, to the book of Revelation. And in the book of Revelation, in chapter 8, the seventh seal is opened. This mysterious seventh seal of the scroll. And when the seventh seal is opened, a series of plagues are unleashed on the world, which might sound like terrible news. And as we read them, oh man, there's so much devastation and destruction that comes from these plagues. But before we jump to conclusions about the purpose of the plague and the potential pros and cons of the plague, one of the things we need to do is recognize in the language that the author of Revelation uses, the author John uses, the language that connects it up to the original plagues in Egypt. All the way back in the book of Exodus, we might remember that God sent plagues on Egypt, and he didn't send them for no reason, and he didn't send them just to destroy. He sent them as a last resort in order to free people from systems of devastation and oppression that were already plaguing them. And this morning, as we talk about our very own plague, in fact, epidemics throughout history have been referred to as the plague. When we talk about our very own plague, we need to ask the question, what beyond the obvious and completely tragic devastation that is happening right now, what might the larger purpose of this moment be in human history? And I want to suggest to you that the purpose may just be one of upsetting the norms, upsetting the apple carts of our society and of our economy in such a way that we are now motivated as a whole society to change systems that were already plaguing us. Rebecca Solnit is a very thoughtful writer who wrote a piece for The Guardian last week called Hope in the Time of Coronavirus. And in it, she said this. She said, one of the most dangerous things to hope is the lapse into believing that everything was fine before disaster struck, and that all we need to do is to return things to the way they were. Ordinary life before the pandemic was already a catastrophe of desperation and exclusion for too many human beings, an environmental and climate catastrophe, and an obscenity of inequality. It may be too soon to know what will emerge from this emergency, but not too soon to start looking for chances to help decide it. Friends, the question I have for you this morning is, will you go back to normal after the pandemic wave has crested? Or will you help collectively build a new normal where the devastation that has already been racking our neighbors and our communities is upset and turned over and changed?